Sales management is often thought of as a numbers game, with tactics and strategies taking center place, right? They're always the main stage. It's always about profit and loss. It's what's the forecast? Are we going to hit our forecast? What's going to happen if we fall short with revenue? Oh my God, the house is burning, it's on fire, and chaos, right? And so that can feel like you're always on an adrenaline rush when you're managing sales. I know, because I used to do it. And when the chips are down, it's really those strong relationships that are going to get you through. They're going to get you to weather the storm. And it really is about the mindset. It's not just about being nice to people and saying, hey, I want to help you. Let me sell you something. It's more about what you're actually developing so that when the tough times hit, or you have a moment of, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We're not going to make our numbers. Then you want to feel like you can excel in the long run with the clients that you have, because as we know, acquisition costs are much more expensive than selling to the people who are already your clients. Hi, I'm Tracy Crossley, and I'm a behavior expert and a podcast host, author, and so on and so forth. And so I am the game changer that women leaders look to in reinventing how they live and lead from the inside out. And so what I found through my many years, so I started in sales when I was in my early 20s, and I didn't want to be a salesperson. I thought, oh, I can't do that. Well, surprise, surprise, I was actually really good at it because I tended to make it about building relationships. And so we won awards, and I always had people that I was training in various positions that I had in corporate. And one of the things that really was very clear to me was that if you're not genuine, people see through it. People know that you're just there to make a buck. And I don't care what you sell. And so for me, in the many years it's been since I've been in corporate, I've been in my own business for the last 15 years, I can look at, we have to have sales going all the time. And it really does come from that place. But because we're a mindset company, we tend to do our sales process probably a little bit different than everybody else. And so one of the things I want to share with you, or I should say 3 tips that I do want to share with you today about sales and empowering your team, it's really important to first look at how hard you have held on to your results having to happen. If you're holding on to results having to happen, you are missing the nuances and you are missing how you get there. It is all about letting go. It is not that you're going to go sit on the couch and eat bonbons, but there is a pressure that happens. And when you have pressure on a salesperson, they're not going to give their best game. They are not going to do what they need to do. They may temporarily come to the plate, but I guarantee you that they will lose motivation. And that is not what you want. So they can feel overwhelmed, they can feel overdone, they can feel that they are not good enough, and they may not share that with you. That's all in their mindset. And that stuff starts to creep in, and that gets in the way. That's an obstacle. To maintain open and inviting energy, salespeople need to focus on development rather than needing to hit quotas. And that's a hard one. When I was in sales, I had one job where I was a general manager, and I used to call it sales on crack, because literally the sales cycle was so short. And so it was kind of a high because it was closing on a weekly basis, right? We had to hit numbers on a weekly basis, not monthly, not quarterly, not annually. It was weekly. And when it was weekly, it just felt like, oh my gosh, it's a crack high or it's a crack low, right? Uh-oh, I need more. I'm kidding. But anyway, you want to maintain an open and inviting energy. And when you're so wrapped up in that outcome having to happen, nothing's coming natural. Nothing is genuine. Everything feels like it could be your last dollar that you're earning, if you're earning anything at all. And that can feel pretty bad. So it's not the quotas that matter, but it's how you approach it and how it stands in the way of your success. It's about your focus. If your focus is on something you might lose, then guess what? You are in a scarcity mindset. You are not in an abundant mindset. And when you're in an abundant mindset, and I know this gets talked about a lot too, that means that you can bring home the bacon, and it's a lot less effort. So, number 2, bite-sized pieces when it comes to development of a client relationship. It's what you can do for them that they need, not just throwing things against the wall to generate a lead, or, like you get these horrible LinkedIn messages, and I mean horrible, from people that are cold calling and don't do any research, don't qualify anybody, and they just throw stuff against the wall to see what's going to stick. And that is not a way to really generate leads that are quality. You may get quantity, but your quality, not so much. And if you have salespeople or lead generators, everybody's got a different sales setup, right? So regardless, it's about not going through that desperate act of throwing things against the wall. And it's really about doing research, inquiring to a possible client what their pain points are. Never assume them. Learning about the person, not just the company they represent, and seeing if they can truly be helped by you. And if they can't, it would be great if you referred them some service that they possibly need. They will remember you. And at a later time, they may come back to you. I had that happen several times when I was selling to the movie studios. I live in LA, and so movie studios were clients of mine, TV production companies as well. And I was just really doing what I'm telling you guys to do. And I was a top salesperson. And I used to walk out and I'd feel like, wow, I'm walking out with orders and I'm not even trying, because my goal was never, again, what I said about being tied to results, and it was about developing that relationship, because then they knew they could rely on me and they trusted me. But first I had to trust myself. I had to trust myself that I was going to come through with what I was saying. And a lot of times, salespeople can be known to be flaky. So if you're managing them, right, you have to look at, okay, am I demanding the things from the salesperson that they're going to come through with, or are those things going to get in the way of what they actually need to do? And what they need to do, obviously, to develop a relationship and close the sale, right? So the bottom line is still the bottom line, but it's how you focus, and it's what you focus on. Because when you are in a place of fear, oh God, we might lose this, that doesn't help you. That never, ever cements for you that long-term, lucrative relationship. What else? Okay, number 3, be patient and allow your salespeople to remain open and curious. This is very hard to do when you have a tight turnaround. Like I was saying, we had to hit numbers on a weekly basis, right? I would run sales contests every week. I knew there were some performers that were going to respond to it, and I knew there were others that it would take longer. But I was patient with them. I wasn't forcing them. And what ended up happening was the people that would fall behind would either fall off the radar, or they would get with the program and they would do what they needed to do in terms of they developed relationships. And there are salespeople that I train that are still out there selling today, happily, by the way. And so what you want to look at is how you allow your salespeople to get stressed out, how you allow them to not carry a mindset of openness and curiosity. You want to look at that, and it may be your impact because of your own fears, or it may be ones they carry themselves just because of their own insecurities. Whatever it is, you want to work with them on it. You want to talk to them about this. You want them to know you're on their team. Because if you're the sales manager, or whatever your position is in sales management, you need to look at, what am I doing to help my salesperson to be incentivized internally, right? Self-validation, they need that too. They need to learn how to do that, but also the validation you're giving them outside. So you don't want them to be like a rabbit looking for a carrot. You want them to look at themselves and trust themselves that they can come through and they can be successful. So you want to allow the relationship to grow, and desperation is not a scent anybody really wants to wear. We've all heard that, right? So you want to make sure the salesperson is dealing with the present moment and not a possible future when it comes to growing the relationship. Like, you don't want them steering the relationship. See, this is pushy, this is pretentious, and it actually doesn't really work as a strategy in the long run. I had clients for years when I was in corporate. And when I had these clients, it grew. I had a client at one point who, it started with a sticker, you put in a window for a retail store. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to go with this. I ended up doing all of their catalogs. I ended up doing, this time I was in pre-press and printing. So I was helping them to create, this is a clothing company. I was helping them to create all this. I even named a line of their jeans. I mean, I became art director. I hired models. I ended up doing all of this stuff. It was a very lucrative account for me. And when I went on my own, I took them with me because the company I was working for was going bankrupt. And so at that time, I cultivated this relationship. This is what I'm talking about. I cultivated another one with a very large movie studio. They came with me when I went on my own. I'm not saying that you want to have your salespeople, okay, see you later, taking the clients with me. But in this case, it was really, I didn't have a choice. So all to say that it is that connection you have that is going to keep somebody coming back to you, or you can just destroy it and you can pressurize the whole situation, maybe lose a salesperson and a client. So I hope these tips are helpful to you and your sales team. And remember, empower your team to grow, build relationships, and let go of that self-doubt. Self-doubt is a killer. You should contact me if this is an issue. I can work with sales teams. Like I said, I won awards with my teams because I knew how to work with this. And so I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where every week I'm going to be sharing tips for women leaders in helping them to reinvent from